So I went to Sydney recently and I bought a couple things. Hi guys, today I'm going to talk to you about all the books and things that I got in Sydney recently. I went to Sydney on the 27th of September, so basically last Saturday, for a Sydney meetup between avid book lovers. And this was hosted by Katrina from the Little Book Owl, and it was such a really awesome event. I really enjoyed my time there. I've never met any of the people there, but they were really friendly, really like-minded, and I loved talking to them and having so much fun just browsing through bookshops and buying a lot of things. So I'm going to show you all the books I got in Sydney and some other things I got as well. So we ended up meeting outside Queen Victoria building, but I got there quite a bit early. I think my bus got there about 10:20 and we were supposed to meet at 11 AM, and I went, you know what, I'm just going to walk up to Queen Victoria building and then just have a browse through it. I've never been to Queen Victoria building, and I'm glad I did because it's such a beautiful building. It's got this Victorian architecture, and inside it's just high-end shops with, it's just so beautiful in there. I can't explain it. And of course the first place I go to in the Queen Victoria building is Evelyn and Crabtree, because I love skincare things. I love hand creams, I love body lotions, I love all those kind of things. And Evelyn and Crabtree has some really nice products. I normally go to the one where I live with my mum, but we generally just browse in there before we do our major shopping and just try out the hand creams and then like walk off without buying anything. We just get there to try on the hand creams. But this is the only time I've been to an Evelyn and Crabtree without my mum, and I actually bought something, so I'll show you what I got. So I got this Evelyn and Crabtree pear and pink magnolia hand cream, and oh my god, I wish there was a method for you people living at home or whatever, how you're watching this, to smell this, because it is absolutely divine. It's not too fruity, it's not too flowery, it's got this subtle smell, but it's so beautiful, and I've been just having it on my hands every single day since, and I'm definitely going to get some more when I go back into the city where I live. Now let's actually talk about the books that I got, because this is a booktube channel. So the first place we went to was Kinua. So the first one I got was Lagoon by Nanette Okorafor. Oh, I can't say her name, I'm sorry, but let's just roll with it. I got this in the science fiction fantasy section, and it sounds really interesting. You actually see a recurring theme with this book and the next book I got from Kinua. I can't say Kinua either. I can't pronounce anything right. So what I believe this book is about, it's a science fiction novel. It is set in Lagos, Nigeria, and it's about these three people, and somehow this meteorite hits the ocean, and there's this panic, and these three strangers bond together and end up trying to save the city and the world. But I think the main reason what drew me to this novel was this cover. It is absolutely beautiful. I probably wouldn't have gotten it had I not looked a little bit up, because the Kinua shelves are really high and I'm a really short person, and if I had just not glanced up a little bit, I probably would not have seen it because it was really high up and I had to go on my tippy toes to get it. But it sounds awesome and I can't wait to read it. The next book I got was The Girl in the Row by Monica Byrne, and as I said, there is a recurring theme from the two books I got from Kinua. This is also set in Africa, because Nigeria with the other book is set in Africa as well, and this one is set in Ethiopia, although a little bit set in India as well. Again, it's another science fiction novel. I believe it might be a futuristic novel, I'm not particularly sure, but it's basically about this girl called Mina who wakes up to find these snake bites on her body, and somehow this makes her realize that something is after her and she has to run away to her homeland, Ethiopia. And there's something about the trail, and this thing called the trail, and it sounds really cool and somewhat mysterious, so I'm interested to see it. Again, I got this for the cover. It is such a gorgeous cover, and I cannot... I think I'm just addicted to pretty things like this. The next shop we went to was Dimmicks, and I only got one book from Dimmicks. The book that I got was A Town Like Alice by Neville Shute. Now this is an Australian classic novel. I've been wanting to read this for a very long time, mainly based off the thing that I thought it was set in Alice Springs. I lived in Alice Springs for a very long time, but no, this is not set in Alice Springs. It's basically about this woman during World War II and who's working in Malaysia, and when the Japanese invasion happens, things happen, you know, the horrors of war, and she ends up meeting this man who she falls in love with. After the war, they go back to Australia and try to build this community that they want to be somewhat like Alice Springs, and it's near Alice Springs, and it sounds really cool. So the next bookshop we went to was Galaxy Bookshop. This is an upstairs bookshop on top of this other bookshop. I forgot what the other bookshop was called, but basically Galaxy Bookshop is sort of dedicated to all the science fiction and fantasy novels, and it's got a really nice range. And I told myself I wasn't going to buy anything in there, but I went in there and I bought something, of course. I ended up buying them mainly because I love Juliet Marillier. I've told you about this so many times on this booktube channel, but she is my favourite author of all time. But I don't have all her books. I think I have her books on my Kindle, but I don't have the hardcover ones, and she has some really beautiful covers, and I just need to start collecting her books again. I actually used to have these books in physical editions before, but a couple years ago I sold them, and I don't know why. I sold them and Magician by Raymond D. Feist, my favourite books, and it really pains me that I did that because I ended up having to buy it again, but I'm glad I did because these covers are absolutely gorgeous, and I'm now rereading the first book in the series, so basically it's just two books in the same series. The first one is Wild War Dancing, again by Juliet Marillier, and this is set in Transylvania. It's about these girls. It's sort of like a retelling of the Frog Prince and the 12 Dancing Princesses. I believe that's what the two fairy tales are. And it's such a good story. I'm going to do a review of this just so I can show you my love for this novel, and yeah. And then I got its sequel, Cabelli's Secret, which is set in Turkey instead, and it's about the other sister in the family. The first novel was about Jenica, who's the second oldest, and this one is about Paula. This is so beautiful, and the cover is absolutely to die for, and it's one of those ones where you can tell who the characters are. This is Doyan, and that's Duarte the pirate, and then there's Tati, and there's Paula. Look how beautiful she is, and I cannot wait to read this again. Ended up going to another bookshop, Elizabeth's Bookshop. Now the reason why I went in there was because they have this thing where you have paper wrapped books, and on the cover you don't even know what these books are called or what they're about, only that it's sort of brown paper packaged, and there are keywords on the covers to sort of pinpoint what these novels are about, but there was not many on the offer when I went in there, and they didn't sound particularly interesting, but I decided to have a browse through because I had about an hour to go before my bus arrived. So I was looking through there, and I ended up picking up books in the series that I'm rereading again. So basically the last two bookshops that I went to, I ended up getting books that I've already read. And Elizabeth's Bookshop is a second-hand bookshop, so yeah. The books that I got weren't in a particularly great condition, but I sort of want to read them again, and they were pretty cheap, so ended up getting them. So basically I got the next 3 books in the Tide Lord series by Jennifer Fallon. And then the last thing I got in Sydney wasn't book related, again like the hand cream, but I was going to get it at some point, and I was probably going to get it in Canberra, but there was a sale at the moment, and I ended up going into the shop called T2. There was, you get the 2 litre jug with 2 teas and for about $30, whereas if you get the 1.2 litre jug, which I was going to get, it was going to be $30 just by itself. So I went, I'm going to get the 2 litre one. So this is the 2 litre jug. It's basically, you can use it for iced tea. I'm a huge fan of tea, but it's coming up to be spring and summer, and I can't drink hot beverages in summer, so this is a great thing to have my tea and in a nice cold way. And then the teas that I got were the pumping pomegranate. I've never tasted this tea, but it sounds interesting. And then I got the Southern Sunrise tea, which I think I'm going to try first. So yeah, that was all the things that I got in my crazy Sydney book haul. I hope you enjoyed it. I think this was a very long haul. I'm sorry if you didn't want to look at the other things that weren't books, but yeah, it's my booktube channel. So, thank you for watching. Have a lovely day and see ya.